Sarah Houtman. This is my husband, John Houtman. We are the owners of PHLster Holsters. We're here to tell you about our next generation Enigma. And this is Nick. He'll be answering your YouTube questions. Nick Humphreys is our, what did we agree your title was? I think we said Overlord of Daily Operations.
Close enough. Close enough.
Something like that. So we will get to the good stuff here, but I just want to say thank you, first of all. Man, in 2020, we launched our first Enigma, and we were so nervous. We were so nervous because we made 250 units, and we thought, we don't know if these will sell. We expect, they'll probably last a month, maybe 2 months, but if they don't sell, well, I don't know how we're going to get our investment back. We'll figure it out. And we did our launch, and they sold in 22 minutes. And we were elated, but also panicked, because now we were like, oh gosh, it took us weeks to make these. How are we going to get more? And it started this crazy wild ride that has become what we are now, and we're very lucky to be here, and we're happy to be here. So thanks, all of you who were here from the beginning. Thanks for sticking with us, and thanks for being here for this.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a wild ride. I mean, I remember when we, first launched, it was 2 months before the pandemic really hit. And so then we had to figure out how we were going to, scale the business and generate enough units of the Enigma while supply chains were collapsing and while all kinds of stuff that we wanted to do was getting kind of hamstrung by, parts and materials availability and work shutdowns. And it's been a long journey, and it's been a journey of constant evolution. So as many of you know, or might have noticed, those of you who are repeat customers, we're always making little tweaks and changes to the Enigma in process, in production. So we will phase out one material and phase in another one. So like those of you who have purchased one recently will notice, for instance, like the belt is a better material now, or the leg leash is a better material now. And we've kind of been able to phase in things like that, or improve the clasp for the leg leash and make little design changes to like the Enigma faceplates. And so we've been kind of like working on those things over time and improving processes and improving efficiency and improving materials as we can, as this scales, and as we kind of like develop efficiencies in one area, we can make improvements in another. And right now, we are taking big steps in maturing the product, having over the past several years done a lot of the work to develop the efficiency and develop the scale and really understand our customers and how they use the products to make this package of improvements that we think really solidifies the Enigma as a whole.
Yeah, we're super excited to have done this. And this is something we've been working on kind of in the background for years. And a lot of it is stuff that just takes, seemingly to us, it takes forever. And we've been looking at it for so long and trying to make it happen for so long. And here we are.
Yeah. And there's really only so much you can learn by sending out, test units to a few dozen people and then selling a few hundred products. And it isn't until you've got thousands of end users that you can really gather good information and start making intelligent developments and upgrades to the product. So for instance, when we were in the thick of it and we had, a lot of, process and supply chain limitations, we started the endeavor of figuring out, okay, some number of customers have a less smooth customer experience with the product than we would like. Let's see how much of that we can address with support and education. And the amount that we address with support and education will tell us how much and in what way it needs to be addressed at the product level. So we can make really targeted and strategic improvements there. And then we have to look at the targeted and strategic improvements we would like to make and compare that to what we have the capacity to do. Like, for instance, in the early days of this, in the first year, the first summer that the Enigma was on sale, we had 6,000 people on the wait list. And we were producing these as fast as we can. And we had issues like, leg leash production was the most significant bottleneck. Like getting those made was the choke point for the process. And so we had to develop a lot of efficiency around that. And there were things that we wanted to do, but at the end of it, when we look at it and say, okay, we want to make these improvements to certain areas of it, and it will add 2 minutes per unit to produce. It's not a cost issue. It's a matter of, at this particular volume, if we add 2 minutes to each unit, that turns into like 3 or 4 extra weeks of human labor per year. And we needed to develop efficiencies in other areas so that we didn't have to take that significant a hit in terms of being able to actually manufacture these and deliver them in a timely fashion. So, we insourced production over to our friends over at Henry Holsters, as you know, and that's where everything gets fulfilled from. And we've had to, insource a lot of different capabilities, injection mold design and more sewing and more different manufacturing capabilities in order to really round out the product and turn it into what we've wanted it to be, probably for at least a year and a half. Once we said, okay, this is what we know and this is where it needs to go. Now we need to make the moves to get there.
Yeah, should we show it?
Yeah, let's show it.
All right. So here we are with Gen 2, V2, I guess, sort of, Enigma. So the first thing you'll notice is it looks very similar to the first one. And in fact, the faceplates for each model are exactly the same shape. So it is compatible with everything that you already have. And the main differences are actually, I'll just roll our launch video and we'll explain it that way. That's the easiest way to do it. But we are super excited about it. It does not obsolete the previous versions. It works the same, but it does have some kind of neat features to it. And we are so excited to show it to you. So let's roll that beautiful bean footage. You know I was going to say that, right?
Mm-hmm. Wow, I take 5 minutes to change my shirt and 2 weeks goes by. Hopefully you haven't been waiting in anticipation for way too long, but here we are. Today is March 3rd, and we have new Enigma. Not really all new Enigma. We've made a bunch of upgrades and improvements in 2 key areas, the faceplate and the leg leash, and we're going to show and tell those today. So as you can see here, I've got a representative sample of all of our Enigma products. Everything is getting this upgrade. The Enigma OS Standard, the OS Light Bearing, the Express, and the Express Light Bearing are all getting these upgrades. And everything you see here with all the hardware to install it and refresh your Enigma will be available in complete kits that you can buy on the website. First things first, the leg leash. We have made improvements to the leg leash. Let me show them to you. First thing we did was we remachined the buckle so that they snap even better. We went through that before and made them really good the first time, but we wanted to really improve the snap on these so they're much more positive, crispy, and consistent. The second thing we did was we added a small portion of elastic to this to help the Enigma conform to the shape and size of your leg throughout the day. Hydration, diet, movement, all these things can change how things fit us throughout the day. And we went through a lengthy process to identify the correct kind of elastic, the amount of elastic that we needed to provide the support and security that this part has to provide, while also being forgiving enough to accommodate those changes that we experience throughout the day. So we've got a little bit of stretch so you can really cinch it down. And as your thigh expands and contracts incrementally throughout the day, this will move with you. The other thing that we added is quick adjust. We got rid of the little tri-glides that hold the leg leash together, and we added little tension bars to the buckle itself. So that allows you to make just one pull kinds of adjustments. You put it on, snap the buckle, and you can adjust the tightness of the leg leash with one pull. And we added a couple little keepers to the strap to help retain those bits. Any part of this that you need to adjust now has a one pull, easy pull mechanism to make that adjustment. Not only that, you don't just get one leg leash, you get 2 leg leashes. We've added an entire additional leg leash to this system. We're calling the original one the single point leg leash because it attaches at one point to your Enigma. And we're calling this one the 2-point leg leash because it attaches at 2 points. So you can use it in addition to this one by giving yourself a second garter to maybe go down the back of your leg if you want to keep this up, if it still moves around on you a little bit. Or you can use it as a single point leg leash that kind of hooks under and connects at the front and the back. You can attach this at any point around the back. It comes with a extra little tri-glide that you can use to retain webbing, retain excess webbing, or you can position this in a stable way anywhere you want around the belt. So you will get the single point and the dual point leg leash with every Enigma from now on. Those are the leg leashes. Oh, and of course this guy has our buckle on it as well, and it also has the same quick adjust feature built in to that now. The other upgrade that we've made is to the faceplate. We wanted to improve the consistency, reliability, and durability of the faceplate while adding additional features. We, over time, had some QC issues with Tegris, and we would have to reject an entire pallet of material at a time. And we wanted to free ourselves from that problem, as well as make a number of really important customer-focused upgrades to the faceplate. Number one, since they're not laser cut anymore, we can make the edge really smooth. When we designed the mold for this, we made sure that the parting line didn't leave a seam anywhere that your hand would contact. So this edge is way smoother than the laser cut edge. So you're not going to get, scrapes or nicks or anything from the edge. Two, we dramatically improved the durability by changing the material. And in the process of changing the material and going to a molded faceplate, that gave us the opportunity to do something really great that we could not have done before, and that is to add texture. One thing that we heard from people all the time was, hey, my pants or my clothing slide up and down relative to the Enigma, and that's inconvenient or uncomfortable or gets in my way, or I just don't like it. And so we set out to find and deploy a texture, a 3-dimensional texture on the surface of the faceplate that would interact with the seams of your clothing in a way that would mitigate and reduce the amount that your clothing moves up and down relative to the faceplate, but without being so aggressive that it actually tears your clothing to shreds. Man, we've got a whole book full of, textures from injection mold suppliers that they could have put on there. And we found some that were really aggressive that would never slip. But after, even just a couple hours of wear, you could start to see it like pulling threads out of the clothing. And we could have made it something that would never slip under any circumstances whatsoever. But we also didn't want to ruin your favorite clothing in a matter of weeks. So we found something that was going to interact with and catch on, seams and layers of clothing in a way that reduced the amount of slip. We picked a texture that has, a bit of a wave to it so that whatever angle this is on, it's going to catch, if the clothing's at this angle and the faceplate's at this angle or what have you, it's always going to find something that it can catch on and add a little bit of drag, but without ruining the clothing that you're wearing. The faceplate is textured on both sides so that it, left hand or right hand configuration will have the texture. And that's the big upgrades that we have for you for the Enigma. Like we said, like we warned you, it's not the biggest game changer in the world, but what we did is we spent a lot of time looking at how people were using the Enigma, looking at the issues that all these different individuals encountered that are, hard to anticipate and even, frankly, harder to solve. And we came up with a bunch of thoughtful, deliberate solutions that we could employ that would allow the product to continue to give people the success that they were having, while also addressing those little points of worry that, are hard to accommodate when you're making something at scale. But we think we've done it. So with that being said, we have 2 new leg leashes with quick adjustment, elastic in the single point leg leash to help it hold on to your leg throughout the day, better snaps, better materials, better faceplate. That's new Enigma.
Okay, we're back. We did it. It's happening.
Yeah, real quick, because we're seeing orders coming in already. A point that we need to make a note of, we have discounted UPS shipping below what it costs us to ship a package because the Indianapolis Postal Service hub is the one that's most local to our fulfillment center, and they have been having like newsworthy level delays and bottlenecks. It's really not good. So what we've done is we are undercutting that with UPS pricing. We're pricing it below cost to incentivize you to not select USPS shipping on your order if you want it in a timely fashion. There will be nothing we can do if you order USPS and it gets stuck in Indianapolis. Please use UPS if you want this in a timely fashion. We have priced it accordingly. We're willing to take the hit on all the shipping losses that we're going to incur there. But the USPS hub in Indy is currently a black hole. So please don't use USPS. And if you do, you are completely on your own for that. I'm really sorry.
We don't want people to be super excited to get the new Enigma and then it gets held up for like a week or 2 weeks in shipping, and that's the worst. So we're subsidizing it in hopes that people will choose UPS and hopefully avoid some of those shipping delays. Stuff that we've sent out recently has taken like 4 to 5 days longer than it normally would. So just a heads up on that.
There's stuff we sent to people 2 weeks ago that isn't there yet, and it was sent priority. So be warned.
Yep. So yeah, well, so that's the new Enigma. We hope you like it. We are super excited about it. We will take some questions here in a moment. But I wanted to talk just a little bit about the history of it and the reasons it is the way it is. So really the biggest one is that there's really no distinction between our customers, our friends, our business contacts, and all of us. Like, we are all in the same community. And when people enjoy our product, we hear it. When they struggle with it, we hear it, because we're right there with you. So we've just been listening and doing our best to adapt and try to figure out where the pain points are that people have had with previous versions of the product and make steps towards design changes that can eliminate those. So I'm pretty happy with what we made. I'm super excited that we're here. I remember before we released the Enigma, when we were still prototyping it in our basement. And I say that like in our basement. We're still in our basement now.
This is still a basement.
It's still a basement. So not much has changed. It's a little nicer basement these days, but still a basement. But yeah, I mean, when we were prototyping the very first Enigma, the first thing I did was look at the leg leash, and I thought to myself, oh, everybody's going to hate this. Everybody's going to complain about it. I don't like it. But it's necessary. It's necessary to keep the system in place when you draw. So how are we going to try to make this something that will fit a variety of body types and be comfortable for a variety of body types, and also be simple enough that we can manufacture it at scale? And that was really the hardest part, because that leg leash, as John mentioned, was the sole choke point for months of manufacturing shortages. And all the times we had wait lists, people thought, oh, they're just trying to build hype. We were not. We were like desperately trying to make enough of these. But we were prevented by just some of the logistics of it.
Yeah.
And, back in that day, I remember, like, before we released it, I was like, oh, it would be cool. We should add a little elastic insert to this and then make it a little more flex, a little more comfortable. And we started prototyping it, and we really quickly had to abandon that idea because we realized we didn't have the right buckle. We didn't have a straight slotted buckle. We didn't have a way to stitch it seamlessly with a finished seam. We didn't have a way to minimize the bulk that you get when you add layers to the piece of webbing. And we just didn't have the manufacturing capacity to get it done. So this is something we've been wanting to do for years and years, and we're finally in a position to do it.
And then as we started to develop the manufacturing capacity for that, it was in the middle of the pandemic.
Good point.
At which point, elastic, anyone in the tactical soft goods industry will tell you how hard it was to get quality elastic when every elastic manufacturer was diverting all of their resources to make elastic for masks. And even, like the kind of heavier duty elastic that was used in like plate carriers and cummerbunds and mag pouches and all this stuff, it was not good. It was A, not good, B, hard to get. And stuff that used to be reliable products with the same SKU, with the same material SKU, you would get it and you'd sew the product, and then in fairly short order, the elastic would have no more rebound anymore, because they were just cutting quality across the board at all these elastic manufacturers to make little, elastic mask straps. And we had to wait for all of that to die down, and then we had to pick the correct kind of elastic, figure out how we were going to sew it, figure out how we were going to finish it, determine how much of it there was going to be in order to both provide the security that the leg leash has to offer, while also being comfortable in all these things. So it's like a long process of trying different stuff, seeing how it sews, seeing if we need to improve the sewing process, picking what's it's just, manufacturing is very often not fun or easy. You're at the mercy of a lot of other factors, so.
Yeah, especially depending on the scale too, that really does make a difference. Because I was able to find, like, I went on Amazon and I was like, oh, I found some elastic, cool. And I found it and I got like one spool with like 10 feet. But then when I went back and tried to find 500 feet or 1,000 feet, it's just not happening. So we were a little bit limited on what we could do there. But the kind of cool thing I think that happened was there were folks in the aftermarket spaces, like smaller companies, that were able to make smaller scale, more custom products, and they kind of stepped in to fill that gap, which I thought was cool. And for years, that's kind of the model we followed of here's the base Enigma. It's a skeleton. You can customize it however you want. There's a robust aftermarket of accessories. And unfortunately, what we heard over and over again from our customers is that for the price you pay for the Enigma, you should not have to buy extra stuff to make it work better for you. And we agreed with that feedback. That was valid feedback. This is a premium, high-priced product. And when you buy a premium product, you want to have a good experience with it. And so we started kind of looking at reevaluating like some of the ideas we had rejected early on in our journey for various reasons, and had been kind of filled in by the aftermarket. And we started looking at those and thinking, okay, how can we meet this customer need within our own design criteria, in our own requirements and restrictions? And that's kind of what led us to this point. I remember years ago, before we released the Enigma again, our co-inventor on this project, a gentleman named Jules, who runs a company named Runcible Works, they invented 10 years ago the first what we now know as the Enigma. It was called the YP holster back then, for yoga pants holster. And
every single one was like bespoke and handmade and took forever to get. And I was friends with him through the industry, and it became a time for us where we started thinking about being able to expand our offerings, and we had new capabilities. And I approached him immediately and said, how can we take this thing that takes forever to get made and is one at a time, bespoke, hand sewn, everything, and turn it into something that we can produce at scale? And there was a lot of legwork into that product beforehand, years and years and years of, combatives testing, being used on duty in high scrutiny environments, all that kind of stuff. And he had a portfolio of things that he had worked on and solutions that he had tried. And some of them were things that we said, okay, we're going to take this and run with it and develop it for manufacturing into, something that can be delivered at scale. And other stuff we looked at and thought, well, this clearly works, but is it customer ready?
Yeah, and there were things too that I look back at. I'm like, actually, we were kind of wrong about that, because Jules showed me early on a prototype of a leg leash alternative that kind of looked like the diagonal straps you would see on like one of those safety climbing harnesses. And he showed me that, and I took one look at it, and I was like, absolutely not. No, that looks like a thong. Nobody's going to buy it. The whole tactical community is going to freak out about that, and I'm sure it works really well, but I don't think I can sell that. And then as we had customers encounter our original leg leash, which is the same structure as the single point leg leash, they were doing things like routing it up and over the belt. So it was routed like a climbing harness. And then a fellow named John Tucker in the concealment workshop came up with his own version of that, which was he called it the Bumster, which was a glorious name, which was basically a single strap that went under the bum, kind of in that similar routing as the customers had been doing. And that, I was like shocked. That was like very well accepted. And that's one of those things that I thought, oh no, nobody's going to buy that. But it actually did fairly well. So then we got to the point where we're like, all right, people don't want to pay more money for a system to work for them. How can we make something that fits our design specs, fits our parameters, and satisfies that basic need? So we went back to the drawing board. Let's see here. And we redesigned, again, our leg leash buckle. So we made our same flat profile buckle, but this time with just one adjustment point, and it just ties onto the faceplate. And you can connect it in the back of the belt. You can actually connect it, you can use it along with the single point leg leash if you want, as like a secondary garter to hold it up, or you can use it as a standalone. And it fulfills that climbing harness function within our spec and parameter of what we were trying to accomplish with the Enigma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're starting to get some questions coming in here. I want to talk about the upgrade kits really quickly and what they come with and why they come that way. So we have an upgrade kit for each version of the Enigma. We've got the Enigma Express, we've got the Enigma Light Bearing Express, we've got the OS Standard and the OS Light Bearing kit. Now these kits are full of stuff. Each kit is designed and contains the components to essentially completely rebuild your Enigma. We are going to be servicing thousands of customers with existing Enigmas. We don't know what the state of those Enigmas is. We don't know how well they're going to come apart necessarily. We don't know, what the condition of the hardware is. We don't know if people are missing pieces. We want to make sure that when we send out an upgrade kit during the 30 days that they will be available and during the 30 days that we're going to be incurring a significant customer support workload in order to service customers with these kits, we want to make sure that they have absolutely everything on hand in brand new working condition in order to execute this upgrade. It comes with all the screws and nuts and hardware. It comes with both new leg leashes. The OS versions come with the various like belt ends and buckle attachments that you're going to need that could potentially be like worn out or old or what have you, or might not come apart from your old Enigma, depending on how old it is. We don't want people to buy one part in like sell Lucy faceplates and then have them come back and say, oh, I need these screws. Oh, I need this other part. Or, oh, I need this additional part. It's a complete kit that comes with absolutely everything you need to upgrade your Enigma, no matter what the condition is of your original Enigma. We will not be selling them in any other way because I guarantee you at least 50% of people will encounter some issue, lose a screw, break something, or have some other trouble during the process of upgrading. And we want to make sure that they have been delivered unequivocally everything they need to execute the upgrade. And we're not going to be, you can buy the leg leashes. You can buy a leg leash upgrade kit by itself because that doesn't require any hardware. But if you're going to be changing the faceplates, these come with everything, period, and in no other configuration. We're not going to sell them without the hardware. We're not going to sell them without the other bits and pieces. We are giving you everything you need in order to do this as easily as possible and not have to write back and forth a whole bunch of emails to get one screw, a couple screws, or this, that, or the other thing, or, oh, this doesn't come apart. If it doesn't come apart, doesn't matter. Just take the faceplate off, swap the belt out, cut something if you have to, and then install the new one. That's how this is going.
All right, should we go to some questions? All right.
How are we doing on questions?
Got several things. I might cover a few here just to knock out a few things.
Sure.
So if you're on the website and you're not seeing the OS versions, just refresh and they'll be there. Also, if you're not seeing the UPS at $10, refresh as well, and then those will show up. If you've already kind of preloaded stuff, the new stuff won't show up, so just hit refresh, you'll be good to go. Those are all up. We had one question about international. Want to get our product international. If you go to bottom website, click find a dealer, or just Google PHLster find a dealer. On there listed is some of our international dealers, and you can purchase their M9 off the top of my head for European folks. So we had a lot of questions. We have a lot of excitement. It's super awesome to see this project we've been working on so long finally arrive with all of the amazing people out in chat. So we had a question about the upgrades. Then John, you covered that. I should mention it. If you go to the website, click on the little search bar on the top right, just type in upgrade, hit enter. In the search results, the upgrade kits will show up right there.
Yep.
So we had a question about, is the molded upgraded faceplate less susceptible to cracking, delamination, permanent setting, the original one? Can the end user drill their own hole slots in the upgrade faceplate?
So it is a dramatically more durable material. We picked one that is not susceptible to cracking or breaking. However, it will take a set. We do want these to take a set so that they conform to you, your body, and your holster. That's a critical thing. They can't have too much rebound, but they do take a set, but they are dramatically more durable. Now, they are more resilient to modification in some ways. However, we still recommend not modifying them because you could wind up creating unsafe configurations or things that have problems or what have you.
Right, so it's not susceptible to delaminating anymore, but that doesn't mean that you can't overstress parts by installing things in places where they shouldn't be. So that's kind of the main thing. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because I also saw a question here about whether the faceplate will catch on fabrics like dresses. So the new faceplate has a significant amount of texture. You want to talk about texture?
Yeah. So as we mentioned in the pre-recorded video, we did a lot of texture testing and evaluation, and we found a number of textures that would never slip under any circumstances, like skateboard tape level, high grit, really dense, sharp textures. But I mean, I don't know about you, but all my favorite t-shirts have holes in them from carrying pistols, either the grip texture of the gun or the rear sight. And carrying a gun wrecks your clothing pretty aggressively. And we didn't want to contribute to that, especially considering the number of people who are wearing their Enigma with like more delicate clothing. It's not just, jeans and Carhartts and who cares if they get shredded. They're going to be people wearing this with, dress clothing that is less durable than workwear, for instance. And what we wanted to do was select a texture that would mitigate most slipping and sliding under most circumstances, but without actually trashing the woven textile of the garment. So what we did is we picked a texture and that has some directionality to it that will be inclined to encounter seams and features internally of the clothing, such that whatever the angle of the pants are and whatever the angle of the Enigma is, there will be something that will kind of have some interference and prevent it from sliding around too much. So this texture doesn't grip the actual weave of the fabric and the textile. This texture mostly encounters things like seams and sewn edges where fabric might double over itself, or there might be like a line of stitching, and it'll kind of encounter that in a way that makes it less susceptible to slipping, but without actually trashing your clothes. And that was a tough balance to strike, because we always thought, well, we could make it a lot more grippy, but then, the highest traction, best, least grippy stuff like literally ruined our clothing within minutes. So we wanted to pick something that would address most of that issue without causing additional problems. And I think we struck the right balance there.
Right, and additionally too, because it's not a laminated material, the safety difference, we always would tell people do not sand your Tegra's faceplate because you can cause it to delaminate. This is not laminated, so if that texture is a little more aggressive than you would like, you can like lightly sand it. Like, don't sand all the way through it, don't get crazy with it, but you can lightly sand it to remove some of that texture with a little bit of fine sandpaper if you want.
Yeah. What else?
So here's a question that's came through a couple times about people having one Enigma and then they want to buy another kit and switch to that.
Oh, so you have to buy the kit that fits your Enigma. That's the way this is going to work, because they're not all made the same, and they're not all made the same for the same exact purpose, and they're not all compatible with exactly the same holsters. If you have an OS standard or light bearing, get the kit that matches the Enigma that you have. If you're not sure which Enigma you have, you can check your order history, you can look back in your emails and see what you bought, or you can contact us directly and we can look it up for you, and we will be happy to make sure that you select the correct Enigma for the product you currently own.
Right, and as you go through the website, everywhere that you would need to select a model also has a little model comparison that tells you what they look like. So it'll tell you, okay, this one has 2 holes in it, this one only has 1, so you can kind of compare and figure it out that way. And another way to think about this too is that all of the compatibility requirements are still the same. So they're still the same as the previous versions. So if you have a PHLster skeleton holster, like this one on the back of the faceplate here, the skeleton holster is compatible with the Enigma Express. It's also compatible with the standard Enigma. So all of those rules still apply, and if there's anything you're confused about, the quickest way to get an answer is to ask Phil at the bottom of the website, and the second quickest way is to contact us through our support form, email us, ask your question. We are happy to get back to you.
How else are we doing here?
Yeah, what else we got?
I think something to point out, this might help a lot of people, is kind of what you talked about, is we have tons of information available on our website through blog posts. So we have a couple questions about finding compatibility. If you just search compatibility on the website, you'll find a blog post for compatibility for the both OS versions, for example. If you go to the education link on our menu up there, we have tons of blogs and information that can assist you as well, or just reach out directly to us or ask Phil.
Cool.
All right. What else we got here? I see one here. Does the 2-point leg leash keep the belt from riding up? The thing about the 2-point leg leash, theoretically, it would keep the belt from riding up. However, if you try to use it for that and you're the body type where your belt moves a lot during the day, it's just going to give you a wedgie. So what I would recommend doing is putting it on, do a couple squats, figure out where your belt is going to end up, and then adjust from there. And if your 2-point leg leash is correctly adjusted when your belt is high, then it'll still be fine when it's low. You might get a little extra holster rise, but it's probably not going to be enough to worry about. So that's a recommendation. I would not recommend cinching it down to try to hold your Enigma belt down, because that is going to get real uncomfortable for you. As someone who is currently pretty hourglass shaped, I experience a lot of belt rise too, and that's just the best way to handle that, in my experience.
What else can we help people with?
Yeah, let's see. Anything else here? There's a couple questions about what model people have, and there's a question, is it possible to utilize a DCC clip instead of the leg leash with the OS light bearing V2? Yes, it is.
Yep.
So all of the faceplates are the same shape. Actually, I don't have a light bearing one on me at the moment, but they have all the screws in the same places. So all of the products and all of the compatible solutions will still work with the new faceplate. Actually, here we go. We've got a comparison here. There we go. So this is the standard Enigma, not the light bearing that you asked about, but the new one's on top. The old version is on the bottom, and you can see they're exactly the same shape, so they will have the same compatibility with aftermarket clips, and also within our own system, so they'll still be compatible with the sport belt and all the other compatible parts. So
Yep.
yeah. All right. Any other questions? This turns into an AMA.
Will the new faceplate work with the papoose?
Yes.
Yes, it will.
They're
Yep.
all the same shape and size.
Yep, it works.
That has not changed at all, even a millimeter.
Yeah, works great with the papoose, and I recommend that, especially for if you're the type who prefers not to wear a lot of undergarments. The papoose is really nice because it just keeps the plastic off your skin and keeps the holster off of you, which is nice. I will say the new faceplate is a lot smoother on the edges. So that's a piece of feedback we heard pretty often is people would find that when they would draw, they would catch their knuckle on the faceplate. And with the Tigris, it had a little bit of a raw edge from being laser cut. This new one, I don't know if you can see that real well. One of the things we did was be really, really careful to make sure that our parting line on our mold for this was smooth. So
Yeah.
this top edge is nice and smooth. It's not as aggressive on your knuckles as the Tigris version was.
Yeah, anyone who's ever used like a really cheap plastic disposable spoon knows what a parting line is in an injection mold. It's that little bit of flashing around the edge of the spoon that cuts the inside of your mouth when you're trying to eat your soup or your cereal or what have you. So we spent a lot of time in the mold making process really controlling that parting line and the edge flashing to ensure that the edge where you're most likely to encounter the Enigma if you like miss a draw or flub a draw or what have you is as smooth as we could possibly make it.
Right, and I'll answer this one real quick too. Somebody had asked, is the new faceplate as flexible as the old one? Will it still conform to you? So it will still conform to you. I would say it's a little less flexible than the last one, but it will still take a set. And this one I haven't really worn, but when you take a set, it will start to, when you wear it, it'll take a set and conform to your body and your holster in the same way. So as far as thickness, I haven't put calipers on it. It's probably, let's see, I would say it's about the same around the edges. Where the texture is slightly raised. So where the texture is might be a little bit thicker. But the difference as far as wearing it is negligible. The performance is the same as the original.
Yep.
Looks like we had another question here about
Couple wedges.
Oh yeah, the wedges. We are extremely close to the new wedges. We have finished the tools that we need to make them. We are done prototyping them. All the tools are either already at or on the way to the foam molding manufacturer where we're having them made. We are waiting for an exact delivery date quote on our initial launch quantity of those, but they will be this spring, hopefully April. They're really, really good. I'm super excited about the new wedges. They're simpler than the kit, and they use a lot of cool new technology, and we're really excited to bring them to you. We've done a lot of work in terms of looking at how people use their wedges, how they build the kit, how they look at what wedge success looks like for most people when they make their own shapes. And we kind of followed that path to make something really effective without being complicated.
Yeah. Real quick, I saw a question here. Is the new Enigma marked as V2, and how do I know I'm ordering the right one? Anything you order from us on the PHLster website after today, or already, as of 1 hour ago, will be the new Enigma. So the only way you could get an old Enigma is if you were to order from a dealer, perhaps that hadn't refreshed their stock yet. That's pretty much the only way. So everything sold on our website is switched over as of now. And everything, if you make a warranty claim, the warranty parts will be V2 parts starting now. There was another good one here. Oh, sorry, sweetie. see here. Oh, puppy cam. I see a request for puppy cam. You don't have to ask me twice. This is my favorite thing. He's sleeping. Let's see if we can get a better view. Philip. Hi, buddy. Oh, now I woke him up. Dick move. Sorry. You were having a good nap. All right. And let's see. Oh, Phil Wong asked if the Levo Designs Bumster will still be offered now that the 2-point leg leash is being shipped. So we sell the Levo Designs Papoose on our website. We've never sold the Bumster on our website. However, I still think that's a really good product. Like that was kind of the testing ground for this version of how to make things. So I think that's cool, and people will still appreciate that if you were looking for like a wider fabric and a super soft fabric. I think that's still a great product. So if you're looking for that, you can go to Levo Designs. I think they also have a secondary garter, and they have a number of other things. You can also buy the papoose directly from their website as well. So yeah, they do great work. Let's see. Will the Enigma work for heavy guys with belly?
Yes. You should join the PHLster Concealment Workshop and see how everyone else is doing it.
Nick is referring to himself as a heavy guy, but Nick has lost a lot of weight. How much weight have you lost? Like
I'm down like 25 pounds.
25,
since
yeah.
December.
So Nick was one of our original big guy models, and now we're like, we need another big guy model.
We're running out of Nick.
We're running out of Nick.
Add air quotes to model for me, please.
All right. Any other questions on there, Nick, that you think we should address?
We had another question about if we have a physical location where people can try them on. Bottom of the website, find a dealer. You can go in there, look at all the dealers listed there to find one hopefully local to you.
Oh yeah, someone who just joined was wondering about prices. The prices are going to be the same. So one thing we thought was really important is like the Enigma is a premium product at a premium price, and that's a stretch for a lot of people, especially with inflation and everything that's going on. So what we ended up doing was leveraging our manufacturing efficiencies, a lot of which have come from the excellent work they do over at Henry Holsters. We've taken those efficiencies and rolled them into adding complexity back into the leg leash. So we were able to make all these changes and keep the price the same. So prices are still the same as all the previous models.
Yeah, certain elements of this cost us less to produce than they did before, and that created the budget to invest into other elements of the product that cost a little bit more than they used to. You know, the leg leashes take more time and they have more materials involved in them.
Right.
But we saved that in the faceplate and respent those savings back into the product. And so we're keeping it at the same price. And we also know that, you know, the economy is pretty crazy and we're not, you know, going to increase the price on that. I think some people are probably going to think that the upgrade kits are on the higher end of what they're willing to spend for that. Now, that is for a few reasons. One, we're not increasing the price of the Enigma, and while the individual parts are costing less, there's also enormous R&D costs and tool costs that go into that. So if we were selling the upgrade kits on a permanent basis, we could bring the price down on them. However, we're only selling them for the next 30 days because, you know, our top selling products are ones that were designed to be no assembly required. And they were purchased by people who expected there to be no assembly required. And our service department is largely set up around the Enigma Express being no assembly required. We are going to have to take a big step back to the early days where the only version of Enigma was one that was 100% assembly required and incur significant costs associated with the upgrade period. In addition to the fact that we also need to recoup all of the time and like money investment involved in making these upgrades possible. And these things are real costs for small businesses like ours. We decided that the upgrade kit was going to be less than half the cost of an Enigma Express. And that's pretty much about as low as we could afford to price it. And we wanted to make sure that in addition to all the time and hassle savings of including all the hardware in the kit, we wanted to make sure that, it's really actually a good value.
All right. And I do see a question here about how does the new leg leash look with the second one attached as a secondary garter? I don't have a picture of that, but what I do have is, so this is the new single point leg leash. So if you look at the kind of shiny section there on the inside of the thigh, that's like a heat shrink tape that we use to keep the seam lower profile. And then it's got the little elastic insert. And with the single point leg leash, some people find that it slides down in the back. Now, what the easiest fix for that is just switch to the 2-point leg leash and try that out. And for most people, that's going to be the solution. The 2-point leg leash, I would say, is a bit less forgiving of body types, especially if you're a person whose belt likes to rise in the back. The 2-point leg leash can give you a wedgie. So you will have to watch your adjustment if you're that type of person. And the single point is a bit more forgiving for those different body types.
And additionally, the elastic in the single point eliminates the kind of leash sliding down outcome for most users, because one of the things that occurs, and like you'll notice this with just the clothing you wear, is that you might have like you might grab a fresh set of socks and underwear out of the laundry, and by the end of the day, they're not quite as like stretchy and snug as they were when you put them on in the morning. And that's because the fabric changes and you change also throughout the day. And by adding a little bit of elastic that allows you to cinch the leg leash a little on the tight side, if your thigh changes shape and size throughout the day depending on your level of activity or hydration or diet or hormones or all the things that go into how your body shape and size fluctuates throughout the day, the leg leash will be more forgiving of that, and you won't find a circumstance quite as readily where your thigh is a little smaller at one point in the day such that the back of it starts to dangle.
Right. And so I don't have a picture of what the leg leash looks like with the second one used as a secondary garter. But if you can imagine on kind of the outside of the thigh, towards the grip side of the gun there, on the outside of the thigh, if you just run the 2-point leg leash down through the original leg leash and back up, that just gives you a little extra support. So it's hard to visualize. Well, at some point we'll grab a picture of it. And
yeah, I'm sure somebody
website.
in the workshop at some point soon will give that a try and share some pictures.
Right. But yeah, I mean, honestly, easy mode if you're having that problem is just switch to the 2-point, and that will probably solve it for you. Because typically the body types that struggle the most with the thigh taper are not the same body types that struggle the most with the belt rise. Now, you might be one of the exceptions, but usually one or the other is going to work pretty well for you. And if not, you can feel free to get creative.
All right, let's take one or two more questions, then I think we can wrap it up.
Okay. Anything? Wrong button. There we go. Anything else you see on there, Nick, or anything else you want to mention before we wrap it up here?
We had a couple sport belt questions.
Specifically?
About sizing down would be one question, and then can it be used? Can the new stuff still be used with? If they have a sport belt already, will that work with
of course,
the new?
100%.
Yep, 100% compatibility there. All the same parts will work just because the faceplate sizes are identical. So full compatibility with all current accessories. The sport belt, as far as sizing goes, we recommend sizing down if you're close to the edge. The question specifically was, my 3 to 9 o'clock measurement was 17 inches. Can I get by with an 18-inch sport belt? Probably. You'll probably be fine with that. You really run into trouble if you run out of room for adjustment, and if you have, at least 17 inches on the front side of your body that's open, you'll probably be fine. So
Yeah.
that'll probably work for you. But if you're on the edge and you're not sure, feel free to size down. That's always
Yeah.
the easy mode. But if you're close enough, you know, it's,
They'll always stretch. They'll never shrink.
right. Close enough is good enough there. Let's see. There was another one on here I thought was pretty good. Oh, Mr. Wong asked, anything to consider when using the 2-point leg leash with the sport belt? So in the instructions, the way we recommend attaching the 2-point leg leash is to just hitch it around the belt. So we also are going to be including an extra tri-glide with Enigmas, so you can also put your extra tri-glide on the regular belt if you don't want it sliding off. But usually you just loop it around and you're good to go. For the sport belt, I think I have one handy. The sport belt has pass-through pockets, and what you can do is loop your leg leash through the pass-through pocket, and that keeps it from sliding this way on the belt. So that's an option. It's not required. It's going to depend on your body. For some people, the pass-through pockets are going to end up in a place where they don't really want their leg leash to be routed. So let's see. We'll do this. So for me, I like the back of my 2-point leg leash to be kind of around the side, so that it's not doing the thong effect. If you are wearing leggings, however, the thong effect is beneficial because then there's no printing at all from the leg leash. But for comfort, I like mine to kind of route around the side. And if the pass-through pocket on the sport belt ends up in the right place for you, you can feel free to route the leg leash through that, and that keeps it from sliding around. So hopefully that makes sense without a good visual. But let's see.
Are the leg leashes available on their own?
Yes, they are. We have updated the leg leash product under parts and accessories, the parts and accessories portion of our website. They are ordered. They come as a set. You get both leg leashes together when you order replacements.
Alrighty. Any other questions you want to get to before we wrap it up here? It's been about an hour, so
I think that's that.
probably good, but
Pretty good. Pretty good. Awesome.
all right. Well,
Man, is it a relief to finally launch this?
oh, it's been so long of having to like be quiet about it that I'm just like, oh, we've been a little pent up. And
We've been looking at these finished parts on our desks and our photo studio for months now, and it is really a relief to finally be able to show this to you guys. It took long enough to bring all this into reality that I've just been worried that it wasn't enough, for
Right.
the amount of time it took. But manufacturing at scale is a game of spending way more time than you really want to on anything.
And money.
And cost. And, it's not that much different than what we were making, but what we wanted to do was say, how do we make this product mature?
Exactly.
Now that we've seen how tens of thousands of people really use it, and we've seen what the effects of our education and support materials are in terms of, how much can we fix with software and how much can we fix with hardware, right? How much can we fix with education? How can we support our customers with education and community? And what's the limit of that, where we now have to start addressing it at the product level? And we picked the things that we, heard in the group, read in comments, see in our inbox as I'm, the most common, I'm having XYZ kind of issue. And we set out to absolutely tackle those as best we can. And I think we did it. And I'm really proud of the team, and I'm really grateful for everyone who worked on this. And we really hope you like it. We hope you like it because we set out to really listen carefully and observe deliberately how people were using the product and where they wanted it to be better. And we owe that to you. And we really hope we hit the mark with this.
Yeah. And thanks again. I really want to thank everybody, especially those of you who have stuck with us from the beginning of all of this. It's been a crazy, crazy journey. But we are so happy to be here and we feel really fortunate. So thank you.
Thank you.